Aloha, this is Suze, and I'm happy to share with you this video that you can share with your buyers as to why now is a great opportunity to buy a home, even though they're waiting for that perfect window of opportunity to time the market. What is happening in the marketplace right now that presents an opportunity is higher interest rates. And many people think that that is a bad thing, but it is actually a benefit to your buyers to act now. So inflation is starting to come down. It is the main driver of mortgage rates. While it is not in a straight line, it is coming down, but maybe not as fast as we would like, but it will continue to move lower, and that will move mortgage rates to more attractive levels. So what is the holdup? So shelter costs, they lag. Look what is happening right now. Shelter costs measured by rents and owners' equivalent of rents. They are the predominant drivers in the shelter components. They have gone up dramatically after peaking in 2022, but they have since eased up. The year over year is 3%. The issue is that it counts the last 12 months. What's even worse is if you go back 10, 12 months, the survey may have occurred here. It is reflective of when they signed the lease. The long lag of a period of a year or a year and a half is the reason why we're trying to play catch up. In real time, we see that shelter costs are actually easing. The way it is reported on the CPI, the Consumer Price Index, that is the core CPI that drives the direction of interest rates. So core CPI, we know that there is a lag. The front of the roller coaster is when we've reached the apex and we're heading lower, but the back is still pointed up. It's the same as real shelter costs are behaving compared to where it is being reported in the CPI compared to the real shelter costs. So here is where it is. Where it is reported on the CPI is the blue line. It is reflecting a lot of pressure for shelter costs that is artificially being pushing the CPI higher. The shelter component makes up about 43% of the core CPI. That's a big waiting period. The difference between the two is 4.9%. It is actually pushing CPI about 2% higher than it should be. CPI is about 5.5%, but it really is closer to 3.5% for the real-time read of shelter costs. The point is that we're playing catch up. CPI should move lower, and that will help mortgage rates move lower too, significantly actually. Meanwhile, if we have lower mortgage interest rates, what will that do to the housing market? This is an illustration of home inventory, and it is really tight. People like to talk about the bubble conditions. When you take a look at when we were in a housing bubble, it was problematic. Too many homes and not enough buyers. The amount of homes available in 2007 were 4 million units for sale. Today it is less than 1 million. At the same time, our population has grown, so it is a very tight inventory environment. The bottom line is if rates do drop, you will see an increase in buyer activity. They will be looking at a very tight inventory, which spills into multiple offers and upside pricing pressure. With less than 1 million homes reported inventory, what is not shown is that 40% of these homes are under contract. They are off the market. You really cannot buy these homes. So when you look at active listings of what we can pick and choose from, there are only 578,000 active listings. Our population is growing about 340 million people. That is a very small amount of inventory for buyers. If we can increase buyer activity through lower interest rates, that will happen as inflation comes down. There is going to be a lot of upside pressure. A comparative point of view. This is what active listings look like now. The left side shows a normal marketplace prior to COVID, and values increased during this time, but they really accelerated when there was a low inventory, the right side. Here we are again, low inventory, though we do not expect 3% rates like we did in late 2021 and early 22, but somewhere in the 5% mortgage range should crank up demand in a very low supply environment. Consecutive years. That is 121 straight months of home value appreciation. In the second half of 2022, values did come down modestly. Remember, FHA said 1%. Case Shiller said 2.7%. It's seasonally adjusted a little bit because the end of the year has softer levels of appreciation, but year over year, values are still increasing. If rates do reach a level to come back down lower, values will not go down. There will be a bottom, but no one can pick the exact date. Most people wait for the bottom as they believe the all clear before they believe for them to go all in or they believe it's safe. But sellers at that point will be more confident. There'll be more competition. There'll be multiple offers. This is not a winning scenario for your buyers to believe and wait for the right bottom. No one can time the bottom. So now we are here. This is the market bottom. It is less than 1 million in inventory, far fewer homes that are available. Do we get a similar level of gain or appreciation or more? It's difficult to forecast. Safe to say prices will be supported. Even with 2.4 million homes in inventory, we saw an 8% appreciation the next year in January of 2012. But let's be very conservative and say we only get 3% appreciation, not 8%, not 5% because it's less inventory, but let's just conservatively say 3%. So let's keep things simple here, and we're going to do a home value of $500,000, a mortgage of $400,000 using round numbers, and rates are 1% higher than they were a year ago, creating people to be bashful to go into the market because that means an increase of about $257 a month in this scenario, and that is $3,084 a year. But this is the time that the sellers are more concerned. They're more willing to negotiate. There's lots of negativity in the media, and you would probably get maybe a discount. And let's just use 2% in this scenario. You may get more, you may get less. But remember, Case Shiller said 2.7 and HFHA said 1%. So let's use a 2% discount. And then on a 500K home, that would be $10,000 in savings. A seller contribution can also be made more valuable, maybe with a temporary or permanent buy down. But as we hit bottom, the value is going to go up. Remember, we had 8% appreciation when we hit the bottom in January of 2012, that year following. But let's say 3% increase. Add them together and subtract the cost of the refinance and the higher rate, and you have a $20,000 benefit to your home buyer. This is a great opportunity. This is why this is an important video to share, so you can highlight to your buyers that this is the time to buy. The opportunity is now before it becomes obvious to everybody else, because then it is too late to get these kind of gains.